Money. It's one of those topics that feels uncomfortable to talk about but is impossible to avoid. For most of my life, I wasn't exactly savvy when it came to managing finances. I made money, spent money, and watched it flow in and out, almost like a revolving door. Like nearly 9 out of 10 Americans living paycheck to paycheck, I was caught in a cycle I couldn't seem to break. There were times when I felt stuck, frustrated, and unsure of how to move forward. When I graduated college with my degree in economics, I also walked away with a massive amount of student loan debt looming over me. To add fuel to the fire, I graduated back in 2008, the height of the financial crisis. The economy was in a recession, jobs were scarce, and it felt like my opportunities were vanishing into thin air. Fast forward to now in 2025, and the economic landscape feels eerily similar, doesn't it? Back then, after covering all my basic expenses, I was left with only $20 to stretch over the next 2 weeks until my next paycheck arrived. It was a nerve-wracking existence. I was barely scraping by during those early post-college years. My expenses weren't extravagant. I wasn't buying designer clothes or fancy gadgets. My reality was rooted in the essentials: rent for my modest apartment, gas for my used Ford truck, which constantly seemed on the verge of giving up, and food, which often meant surviving on cheap noodles and knock-off Sunny D orange juice. Friends would sometimes invite me over, and those occasions felt like a small lifeline where I could enjoy a better meal without straining my wallet. Even though I wasn't living lavishly, I knew deep down that this lifestyle wasn't sustainable. Something needed to change, but I wasn't sure where to start. In an effort to dig myself out of this financial hole, I began spending my free time at the local public library. Week after week, I immersed myself in any finance-related book I could find. I wanted answers, something that would help me turn my situation around. While the solutions I discovered weren't earth-shattering, they were profoundly transformative when applied in real life. The core lesson I learned could be summed up in one deceptively simple principle: spend less money than you make. It sounds easy, doesn't it? But as I quickly found out, translating that advice into action was far from straightforward. It required discipline, focus, and a willingness to make uncomfortable sacrifices. Among the many books I devoured, a few stood out as game changers. George S. Clayson's The Richest Man in Babylon offered timeless wisdom on saving and investing. Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich felt like a modern guide to financial freedom tailored to everyday life. And Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game shared insights on building wealth with actionable steps anyone could follow. These books didn't just provide tips and tricks. They shifted my mindset and introduced me to healthier money habits that would eventually change the trajectory of my life. One of the biggest challenges people face is falling into the trap of lifestyle creep. It happens almost unconsciously. As soon as you receive a pay raise or land a significant project, the urge to upgrade your lifestyle kicks in. Suddenly, you're tempted to move into a fancier apartment, buy a newer car, or splurge on indulgent purchases as a way of rewarding yourself. While celebrating milestones isn't inherently bad, consistently inflating your lifestyle whenever your income rises can leave you feeling stuck and financially vulnerable years down the road. I realized that curbing lifestyle creep was crucial to my financial survival. Social media also adds a layer of complexity to managing money. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok bombard us with images of opulence, whether it's luxury vacations, designer wardrobes, or sprawling mansions. The constant exposure to these snapshots of success can make it hard to avoid comparing your life to others. Keeping up with the Joneses, or in today's context, the Kardashians, is a dangerous game that often leads to overspending and feelings of inadequacy. I learned to be mindful of what I consumed online and focused on my own goals instead of chasing someone else's idea of achievement. Achieving financial freedom comes with its fair share of sacrifices. For me, one of the most significant changes was addressing my largest expense, rent. By getting a roommate to share my apartment, I managed to free up an extra $500 every month. That decision was a game changer. I still vividly remember the thrill of seeing $520 in my bank account between paychecks instead of the meager $20 I had before. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental at the time. With some breathing room in my budget, I decided to tackle the next frontier, investing. Leveraging the knowledge I had gained from my economics degree, I started teaching myself how to navigate the stock market. The process was daunting at first, but as I grew more confident, my financial growth accelerated. I made a promise to myself that I would continue educating myself about money and investments. Becoming financially literate felt like unlocking a superpower I hadn't realized I had. Understanding your why is a pivotal part of the journey. When you have a strong sense of purpose, a reason that drives you, the sacrifices you make become easier to endure. For me, my why was simple. I wanted stability, freedom, and the peace of mind that came from knowing I was in control of my future. Everything boils down to one fundamental rule: spend less than you earn. It's deceptively simple in theory, yet implementing it requires navigating the pressures that society, advertising, and even our own impulses throw our way. By building a healthier relationship with money, embracing minimalism, and fostering positive habits, I found myself on the path to breaking free from debt and achieving financial independence. The journey isn't always smooth, but with persistence and a clear vision, it's absolutely possible to transform your financial life. Check out our other videos to learn more about how to become financially free.